Michael, can you tell me a bit about Concern and the work that you do?
Right, well, Concern was founded, if you like, in 1968, so almost 50 years ago now next year, in response to conflict and famine in Biafra. Um, and we've been going ever since then, kind of from one emergency disaster to another. Following Biafra, there was a massive cyclone in Bangladesh, which killed 300,000 people. And so kind of Concern's emergency response was born out of that. Over the years, we've also developed very much a development response as well. But within that, Concern believes that an engaged and informed and educated Irish public is absolutely vital in the fight against poverty in the world. So for the past 40 or so years, we've had a development education program that has sought to involve the public in holding politicians to account. Michael D. Higgins, my favourite Dev Eder in all of Ireland, says, development must be driven by well-informed citizens, holding politicians to account on values of justice, equality, and we must do that, as civil society members in a creative and engaging way. So that's what we try to do in the Concern Development Education Programme.
And how important has collaboration and partnership working been to Concern over the years?
Collaboration within the sector has been vital for us. We do run our own program, but we find in development education in particular, as opposed to fundraising, we're not in competition. We're all on the same side. We're on the side of making the world a better place. We're on the side, from 2000 to 2015 of the MDGs. Now we're on the side of the SDGs. So we need each other. We need to collaborate. We need to work together. So insofar as possible, within the sector, with like-minded groups, we have supported them financially and otherwise, as well as just through joint projects and collaborations as well.
Great. And can you name one partnership in particular that maybe stands out over the years that has been effective or successful, or maybe a highlight?
I suppose there'd be many. A very new one for us is this Where There Is No Engineers program, where we are working at third level with engineering students and essentially trying to bring a development perspective into engineering and getting students to think like development workers. Engineers are trained to be problem solvers. But oftentimes the problems that they're solving are not necessarily the problems that the local community are facing. So we've been working with Engineers Without Borders, the engineering faculty in DIT, Engineers Ireland. So that has become a very positive, very fruitful, very exciting program for us. We've done a lot of work with AFRI over the years, and just kind of the scale of the work that AFRI does is fantastic. The focus on famine, Ireland's famine, and how we need to continue to address that today. So whether it be the famine walk or their projects and works in schools, as well as their focus on conflict, which so much of Concern's work actually is in conflict-afflicted countries. So the work that AFRI's been doing here on raising awareness around the causes and consequences of conflict has been a very good partnership for us as well.
And how would you summarise the benefits of partnership working in general, as opposed to sort of staying in your own corner? What do you feel are some of the benefits to Concern or to the wider work?
Yeah, I think one of the things for me is that when you come with from an organizational point of view solely, the brand of the organization is very much up front. Whereas when you're kind of working in partnership, the issue, I think, becomes the focus. And for me, that's absolutely vital. That, you know, by putting aside the logos, by putting aside the kind of organizational position, that you get to explore the issue more, you get to debate the issue, you come up with possibly a new angle or a new way of approaching an issue that you wouldn't have thought about on your own. Obviously then working with partners, they bring in new people that you wouldn't have reached otherwise. So that's always very exciting and certainly adds to any kind of success,
What do you think are some of the potential barriers or obstacles that people should keep in mind when they're setting about in a new partnership or collaborating with a new group?
I suppose you have to trust each other. You have to trust that, or even do some homework to make sure, especially if it's a new group, someone you haven't worked with in the past, that there aren't any skeletons in the closet that are going to come out and bite you. That they can be in it for the long haul as well. That you're not going to make commitments, whether it be financial or otherwise, and only to see the thing fall apart because of other priorities come along. So I think just, in the exploratory phase of a partnership, that you kind of feel each other out a little bit in terms of how committed are you to this? How far are you willing to go with this? What happens if, we get a bit of pushback or a bit of heat from the media or from politicians or from others? How are we going to react to this? So I suppose those would just be some of the areas that I think we need to explore together. But I suppose given this day and age when trust is not at its highest for a lot of NGOs and groups, that we need to be seen to have absolute credibility in what we do. So whatever we talk about, we know about, we've walked the walk, we're bringing evidence from programs, from wherever, and that we are able to account for everything we do.
And just in terms of a partnership that is already up and running, how do you ensure that it stays on course and goes the distance and is well maintained or well managed?
That's what, again, it's time. Partnerships that work, you need to invest in, invest your time to make sure that the objectives, the goals, the tasks that you set out to do are happening. And to me, the most successful partnerships we've had are ones where we have set aside the time to do it. And honesty obviously becomes part of that. Things change. So being open and being very honest with one another, I think, is, as someone recently talked about a marriage. That you need all the same things that you have in marriage.
And finally, in relation to the politics of the likes of Donald Trump, Brexit, an increasingly kind of divided world in so many ways, lots of fear, war, tension, how can the development education sector reach out to build new alliances, or do you see opportunity for us to find new partners or allies in places that we maybe haven't looked already?
Yeah. I think one of the challenges that I've taken on personally is, I'm going to continue reading The Guardian, I'm going to continue reading the New York Times, but I need to start reading other stuff. I need to read the stuff in the New Republic, the New Statesman. Some of these publications, I need to look at Fox News. You know, God help me, that's going to be a struggle. But, you know, just to see and try and understand the people who have very different views, a very different worldview, are informed in very different ways that I would be. Because otherwise we end up just living in our bubble. And, you know, we go to the sources that we like, that reflect our worldview, and we're no better off. And I think that there's a serious challenge in reaching out to those across the aisle and trying to find what makes you tick. And, you know, tell me about this gun stuff. You know, why are you so madly in love with guns? Or why are you so madly, you know, opposed to whatever? So we need to really understand that. And I think, you know, I've been very comfortable in my own world view and with the partners I have and all the rest of it. So definitely, I think there is a challenge to us to reach out a great deal more than we're doing. What was the question?
I suppose it was around where do we find the new allies and where do we reach out. So I think you've accurately pointed to the need to at least attempt to build bridges or seek to understand on who's on the other side of the bridge.
Exactly.
And I suppose how do we find those that we can work with that we don't yet know?
Yeah. I've said that they're there. I don't think it's rocket science. I think, you know, I've said that a program that Concern should have is with taxi drivers in Dublin. Why aren't we doing DevEd with taxi drivers? I mean, they're the ones, they know everything. They've got opinions on everything. Many of them we might agree with, many of them we might not. But they're, you know, so there's interesting groups, there's interesting people out there that we just need to reach out to. They're there. I don't think we need to, you know, do a piece of research on it. You know, it's very interesting to see just on the street outside there the number of presumably Muslim businesses that have started. Barber shop across the road, little camera shop down further on. You know, challenging myself, how am I, you know, when was I last in a mosque? When did I last go to, you know, just up the road here, Carrickmines on a Friday. So they're there, and I think it's just a matter of getting out and doing it.
Great. Thanks for your time, Michael. Appreciate it.
Okay.